Hello everyone. Today we will be going over the basics of preparing a number 3 lithium disilicate crown. Tooth number 3 is the first molar on the maxillary upper right and a very common tooth to be crowned. Here you can see number 3 from its buccal view. The first point that it is critical to note is that your preparation is defined by the adjacent teeth. The tooth has a cervical constriction, and therefore we need to reduce a substantial amount on the mesial and distal to make a margin and to allow for adequate thickness of the crown. Now you see we have reduced the entire contact on the mesial and distal and have created a taper of both walls. This will allow the crown to seat. From the buccal view, you can now see the preparation as it would look after reduction of the crown. It's almost like a mini crown within a larger crown. On the occlusal, or from the top, you should have reduced 1.5 to 2 millimeters uniformly. The key here is to reduce so that it is 1.5 to 2 millimeters everywhere from the buccal aspect. This is so you can have adequate crown thickness to have ultimate strength. The key clinical point to note is the reduction of the margin, which is 0.8 to 1 millimeters. This preparation should be done with a rounded shoulder burr and is typically half the size of your 1.6 millimeter burr. We do, however, recommend that you use a Thomson condenser in the simulation lab to measure your margin. From the mesial and distal, you see the taper, which is 5 to 6 degrees on both sides. This is typically slightly angled from parallel. From the mesial view, we see the exact same 0.8 to 1 millimeter margin, 5 to 6 degree taper, and 1.5 to 2 millimeter occlusal reduction. From the mesial, we now see two new aspects to the crown preparation. This is the functional and non-functional bevel. For tooth number 3, the functional bevel is on the lingual side, because this is the side that contacts the opposing arch. On the lingual side, we need to make a bevel that is roughly 1/3 the height of the wall and has a reduction of 1.5 millimeters. On the non-functional or buccal side, we need to have a bevel that is roughly 0.5 millimeters in height and is also reduced 1 to 1.5 millimeters. Now that you understand the parameters of the preparation, we will go over the commonly overlooked areas. During the creation of your margin, it is common to extend the burr too axially or too into the tooth and create a J-lip. As you can see in the drawing, this is when the margin is no longer flat but forms a cupping. The issue with this J-lip is that the enamel is highly unsupported and with time will break off, thus creating an opening in your crown for bacteria to enter and re-decay the tooth. We recommend in the simulation lab that you go over your margin with a hatchet, spoon, or gingival margin trimmer at the end to relieve all J-lips. In clinic, it is oftentimes easier to use a burr. The second error, and arguably the hardest one to overcome, are undercuts. If you look back to our original image, we discussed the importance of a taper of 5 to 6 degrees everywhere. When first preparing crowns, it is common to fixate yourself on creating a margin and to lose sight of the angulation of your burr. It is critical to hold the burr against the entire surface of the tooth. Undercuts are most often seen on the line angles of the prep because the burr was not angled when rounding the corner. To understand the concept of undercuts, we recommend that after you finish your prep, you take a pencil and draw a line 0.5 millimeters above your margin. Then look at the preparation from a bird's eye view and see if you can see the pencil markings everywhere. If there is a spot you can't see it, then you must go back and taper or angle the wall again. There are 3 main ways that undercuts are created. First, the burr is held too parallel, therefore the wall is now completely straight and a crown cannot seat. Secondly, the burr is held away from the tooth structure instead of leaning it against the entire wall. This will create a taper in the opposite direction. This also will not allow the crown to seat at all. Lastly, sometimes one wall will have several angulations. This often happens during refinement when you are trying to clean your margins, but again, you lose sight of placing the burr completely against the entire wall. We hope this video was informative and we wish you all the best of luck. Make us proud.